So the Mini Nintendo NES has had a pretty rocky start to its life. It's been in high demand and we've seen shortages across the globe. And whether or not that was down to Nintendo creating some kind of supply and demand situation, or perhaps they just genuinely did not gauge the interest in the system very well, and in turn it's sold like hotcakes and they haven't been able to keep up with production. What we do know is that it's still a very, very hot item and it's very desired. And we still, to this date, see scalpers selling these Mini Nintendo NESs for fairly large sums on eBay. Now, if you're like me, I've kind of been sitting along on the sidelines, trying to wait for this kind of craze and hype to die down. I wasn't interested in trying to get my thumb and finger on the pulse, trying to figure out who was getting supply in and trying to get a pre-order down. I was intending to wait it out, and when they become readily available in stores, I was just going to stroll in and pick one up. However, and unfortunately, that day may never actually ever come. And that's because we're hearing reports and news that Nintendo may actually be ceasing production of the Mini Nintendo NES fairly soon. So this news, or BS, comes via a Norwegian retailer, Spills Jappa, who actually announced on his Facebook page that manufacturing of the Mini Nintendo NES system is basically done and that they're expecting some final shipments in March/April area. But after that, it's done. Now, all I can say is I'm glad I didn't jump on this news straight away, because Nintendo have actually responded to this news, or BS, and this is what they had to say. Production for the Mini Nintendo NES continues, and Nintendo of Europe will continue to ship units to retail on a regular basis, said a Nintendo UK representative. So what do I think of all this he said, she said bullshit? Are Nintendo ceasing production, or are they, like they claim to be, continuing production, and we're going to see Nintendo Mini NESs floating around in the wild for a very long time to come? And if they are ceasing production, why have they decided to take that course of action? Now, when I first read Nintendo's response, the first thought that popped to mind was, here we go again. Sure, buddy, no worries. And to be honest, I just didn't believe the words that were coming out of their mouth. And that's because we've seen them deny these allegations and suggestions that certain systems were going to be discontinued, but they'd always respond with, don't worry about it, we're going to support this system long into the future. Which is what we're seeing with the Nintendo 3DS at the moment, and that remains to be seen as to whether or not that's actually going to be the case. But a couple of examples I have is not long ago, late last year, we heard from Nintendo themselves that they were going to support the Wii U once the Nintendo Switch launched. Now, shock, horror and surprise, we heard rumours shortly after that the Wii U was actually winding down in production, and it's all of a sudden been ceased now. There's no more Wii U's being produced. And further back, when the DS launched, when the Game Boy was relevant, Nintendo said, don't worry, the Game Boy is going to be a third pillar system. Well, it's 2017 and I can't see any fucking Game Boys floating around, can you? Now, perhaps my positioning with Nintendo is negative, but the case is I don't trust them as far as I can throw them. As much as I love their products and their IPs, I don't trust them. But you could say the same for Microsoft and Sony as well. As soon as you have a bit of a track record build up, it's hard to regain a consumer's trust. But am I saying that I buy into these rumors? Do I think the Mini Nintendo NES is going to be discontinued? And to be honest, I honestly don't know. I'm kind of torn on this one. One half of my head is saying, don't trust Nintendo as far as you can throw them, and the other half is saying, well, why would they discontinue the Mini NES? It must be printing money, it's in high demand, people want it. Surely this thing's going to be floating around printing Nintendo money for a very long time to come. Or at the very least, until we see the successor come along, which I can only imagine is going to be a mini version of the SNES. But if Nintendo do choose to cease production on the Mini Nintendo NES, let's jump into a few bullet point reasons why they could have decided to make that choice. And remember, if you have more reasons, chime in below because I'd love to hear them. But the first thing that jumps into mind is perhaps they're just getting ready for the Switch. Maybe they're just focusing people's attention onto the Switch, which is, let's face it, if it gets off to a blockbuster start, it's going to make them a lot more money than a Mini Nintendo NES is going to make them. So perhaps they're just concerned about people's wallets being stretched too thin or their desire being spread over multiple products, and they're trying to just focus them in on the Nintendo Switch. And here's my second bullet point thought. Obviously, by now, Nintendo will have surely realized that the Mini Nintendo NES has been a huge, popular, successful hit. And it's unfortunate that we've had supply issues, but I'm sure it's still printing money and the system is still in high demand. But like I said previously in my first bullet point thought, maybe they are just winding it down and they want to focus attention on the Switch for now. But come the end of 2017 or maybe towards the last quarter around holiday period again, we're going to hear rumors, reports, and suggestions that Nintendo is planning a successor to the Mini Nintendo NES, being the Mini SNES. Now, my thoughts on this are, 1. Nintendo will have a lot more units ready for retail, and 2, and unfortunately, I think it's going to hurt our wallet a lot more than what the Mini NES did. And my reasoning for that is, the Mini NES was such a massive, popular hit. We saw it selling through friend-to-friend buys and eBay buys for ridiculous amounts of money. And I think, unfortunately for us, Nintendo will recognize that. So I think from the get-go, with the Mini SNES, we're going to see a much higher recommended retail price from Nintendo, and we're going to see a lot more readily available stock at retailers. And basically, come the end of the day, Nintendo are just going to print themselves money again. But let me know down below, guys, what do you make of all these rumors suggesting that the Mini NES is being discontinued? What do you make of Nintendo's response to these rumors and suggestions? Do you trust them as far as you can throw them? And let me know what you think of my theory regarding a SNES Mini. As always, guys, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. My name's Sully, this is One Guy's Opinion, and we're going to talk in the next video.